ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so today's video, we are going to talk about the announcements that came out both yesterday and today in regards to the upcoming line of X comics in the From the Ashes era of X-Men, the Post Krakoa era of X-Men, if you will. And, well, while we talked about X-Force in the previous video where I talked about this, we actually gave it a day because I wasn't sure if they were going to do, like, back-to-back days, and as it turns out, I was correct. They did. They did one on, what was it, Thursday or Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday, and another one on Thursday, and I'm recording this in the middle of the night. It's like 12 something in the morning on a Friday. So yeah, basically what you need to know is that we're going to talk about NYX and we're going to be talking about Phoenix. Now let's start with Phoenix. Phoenix I feel is the easiest one just because, well, for one, we already knew it was going to be about Jean Grey. Jean is going to be returning. She's got a brand new costume that is, in a lot of ways, kind of a mixture of a couple of different costumes. Two of my favorite, if I'm being brutally honest. One of those being her Hellfire Gala costume from like 2021. And the other is going to be her classic green Phoenix outfit that like did like a perfect marriage of the two costumes. The headpiece feel very much like that 2021 Hellfire Gala outfit, and then the rest of it is the classic green Phoenix fit. If the title of the series is no indicator, Jean will have possession of the Phoenix Force again, and while it is stated that it could potentially be permanent, we all know how that works. Probably not the case. But I think a lot of Phoenix fans will be pleased because I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say over the last year or so, oh, there's ping pong in the Phoenix everybody. Like, it's okay. It's okay. It's gonna be fine. If you've been reading comics for as long as I have, almost 40 years up to this point, I think it's gonna be okay. It hasn't killed me, and this is literally my job to care about this stuff. And if I don't care, you shouldn't care either. I'm getting paid to care, and I don't care. So let's just get down to it. Basically what this is going to be, and I'm actually kind of looking at the solicit here for this new series is going to be the second expansion title in the From the Ashes relaunch of the X-Men line. And we also know who the creative team here. It's going to be Stephanie Phillips. She's a writer who has done a lot of work for both Marvel, DC, Image, Boom Studios, Dark Horse, you name it, she's probably done it. And we've also got Alessandro Miracolo on art. That's the core creative team right there. And what we know is that this title is going to have Jean Grey shot off into the far reaches of space. She's going to be hanging out in the cosmos as the original preview had told us. And one of the things I find very interesting about this as well is that this is all done because of Nova. Interesting. Now, Nova sends out a distress call, one that gets the attention of Jean Grey. I don't know, because they don't really say in the solicit, there's no image to follow this up. It's not stated whether this is the Nova as in Richard Rider or Nova as in former Herald of Galactus Nova, but I'm going to go on a limb and say it's probably Dick Rider Nova, if I had to hazard a guess. That said, as we get into the actual solicit itself, it says, as one of the most powerful heroes on Earth, Jean Grey's infinite potential sets her apart from even her fellow Omega-level mutants. But as the X-Men regroup across the globe, Xavier's first student will ascend to the cosmos to fulfill her divine destiny. She is Jean Grey. She is Phoenix. She saves the world. She brings death. One woman alone in space who not only must do what no one else can, she yearns to. A desperate SOS from Nova brings the Phoenix to the edge of a black hole, where hundreds of lives hang in the balance, and whatever Jean does or fails to do will bring darkness to the universe and haunt her in ways she can scarcely imagine. Now, one thing that's to take note of here, this book is going to be coming out on July the 17th, And I definitely think we will probably be seeing something pretty special here. I have stated before, I feel like it would be really cool if this took some nods from the Dan Slott, Mike Allred, Silver Surfer. Seems like there might be something gonna go with there. Don't really know. We're just gonna have to wait and see. We definitely know she is gonna be Phoenix Unchained. The fact that they're putting her out in the cosmos means they can just kind of do whatever they want. They don't have to worry about, oh, well, what about the casualties? What about the humans? We got to make sure we don't unalive any bystanders. We don't have to worry about that because she's out in space. She can do whatever she wants. And it's going to be interesting to see. Also, I'm excited because just kind of reading some of the things that have been said by the creative team, Stephanie Phillips, talking about how this is the most powerful character, one of the most powerful characters that she's ever written, and that she can't wait to just kind of play in that Omega level playground, as well as artist Alessandro Miracolo talking about how they can just cut loose with the art on this just because of the sheer nature of the power that Jean wields. So I'm curious to see where that's going to go, but yeah, this is a solo book through and through. Don't know how much Nova is going to play into this, but it definitely seems like Nova wouldn't be the worst person to be around, especially considering that if it is Dick Ryder Nova, he was very much a huge proponent of X-Men Red. I would say huge proponent. He was more of a background player, but like still, he was very much there for Mutant Kind when they were having their mutant civil war between Storm and the Brotherhood and Genesis and her Horsemen of the Apocalypse, so it makes sense. As for NYX, this is the one that gets real interesting because I had heard some rumblings that this might be where we find Kamala Khan, and guess what? It most certainly is. Typically, NYX usually deals with around 4 to 5 different mutants, and normally these mutants kind of have a tendency to be no-name characters or brand new characters or whatever. My general belief was that I wanted it to be characters that, because we have a lot of mutants already. There are so many mutant characters. We don't need to create new mutant characters in order to tell the story. I was like, we can just take some characters that don't really get used a whole lot. And I will definitely say this, it is kind of that, but kind of not at the same time. So basically what we're going to get is that NYX is going to field I don't even like calling it a team because it's not really a team book. Not in the strictest sense, but it's going to field 5 mutants, one of which I already mentioned, Kamala Khan, who is a mutant nowadays. It's also going to field Lara Kinney, aka Wolverine. We are also going to get one of the Stepford Cuckoos involved in this, specifically Sophie. She is going to be the Stepford Cuckoo who is going to be a part of this. We're also going to get the character Anole, who we haven't really seen a whole heap of a lot of since Vita Ayala's New Mutants. And we will also be getting, last but certainly not least, Prodigy. So I like this. I like the way this is set up. This lineup I'm pretty interested in, if for no other reason the fact that, yes, while not so much Lara Kinney, most of these other characters don't get used a whole lot with the exception of Sophie. Sophie is probably, other than, Lara Kinney, of any of these characters, she's probably the next most used mutant, and only just by virtue of the fact that she is a daughter of Emma Frost. I'm not going to count Ms. Marvel in that because, she's had her own books. So we're not really counting, and she even has one running right now. Prodigy is kind of at the mercy of whoever just wants to use Prodigy at the time, and Anole is kind of in the same boat on that one. Before I give any more musings about the team, let's take a look at the solicit here and see what's going on. So what we know off rip is that this is going to be a book written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzing, which is great because really good writers. They've done work on Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty. They've done the recent Thunderbolt stuff. They write The Outsiders over at DC Comics. They have a really good pedigree. They're a really good set of writers. So I'm curious as to how they're gonna run this one. They're also gonna have Francesco Mortarino on art for this one. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how they're gonna pull this together. Of all of the characters, the only one who's actually a returner is Lara Kinney. She was in the original NYX, so it actually makes sense for her to be there. I know earlier I mentioned that she's probably the most used of any of the 5. The reason why they're bringing her back here is because this is actually where she debuted. That's her first appearance, is in NYX number 3 in 2003, literally just over 20 years ago. One thing I do appreciate here is that while Lara is a part of this book, and if you couldn't tell by the cover of this, Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, is actually going to be the central character of the story, the entire story. The other characters are going to be backing her up. So This is probably kind of slick, more a Miss Marvel book than it is, you know, a traditional like X title per se, but I'm here for it. I kind of want to see what they're going to do with this. I was worried that Ms. Marvel was going to get left out in the cold. I actually was more thinking maybe she would wind up on X Factor, but because we know that one's coming up soon. But her being in NYX actually makes kind of a little bit of sense, especially considering that I think she's on the verge of going to college. Beginning to the official blurb for this, it says, with Xavier's school long gone, and I'm going to say right now, this is kind of a huge spoiler for the Fall of X, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. So if you don't want to know the rest of this, I would actually skip ahead a minute or so, because this is basically going to spoil the out of the Fall of X, Rise of the Fall of the House of the Sand and the Fog, and the powers of the Boogie to Beat. I don't know. It's going to spoil it, so just skip ahead a minute. With Xavier's school long gone and Krakoa destroyed, the greatest city on Earth is about to get a huge influx of mutants. Whether they're welcome there or not, see a group of former X-Men students navigate young adulthood, discrimination, and threats bent on shattering human-mutant relations for good in NYX. This is a book about mutants living past the end of their world into a new beginning. This is Ms. Marvel embracing her mutant life in the neon streets of the Lower East Side. This is a Null trying to keep his head above water. This is Wolverine in the shadows of Bushwick, protecting her own. This is Prodigy writing history as it happens, and Sophie Cuckoo finding her own way. The news reports are bleak. The streets feel dangerous. There's something lurking underground. Evil coming from every direction, but they're determined to make it. This is mutant community. This is mutant pride. This is NYX. Now, one of the things I find very interesting here is something that both Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzing bring up in their interview and press release response for this. They talk about how this is the kind of book that they came to Marvel to create when the Hive Mind first formed. They're referring to their partnership. They said that they both bonded over books like The Runaways, Young Avengers, and the original NYX. So it sounds like they have a pretty good read on what this should be, and more importantly, what they want it to be. They also seem to be very big fans of what Iman Vellani and Sabir Prasada are doing with both Ms. Marvel, the New Mutant, and Ms. Marvel, Mutant Menace. So I think it's safe to say that whatever is going on in the current Ms. Marvel, Mutant Menace, we might see a little bit of play over from that, most likely. So I'm here for that. Another thing I was actually very pleased to see as well is that Jackson Lanzing even personally brings up that Sophie, Anole, and Prodigy are their favorite characters since their time on New Mutants and New X-Men, and they go on to say that in a sense we become who we are right alongside them, and returning Laura to NYX, while in a radically different context that centers her heroism over her victimhood, feels like the chance to really bring the character full circle and help her grow into the next phase of her life. I like what they're doing, or at least what they're saying with this. It sounds like this book is going to be in good hands. One of the things I really like about this is, and I said this about X-Force as well, I like the fact that in this book, while that initial announcement, uncanny, adjectiveless, exceptional, those books, maybe less exceptional. Exceptional actually has more color on it than I think people realize. But but adjectiveless and uncanny X-Men look white AF. Like, I'm talking about default white. I feel like this book has way more representation on it. And, because we've got a Pakistani American Muslim girl, Ms. Marvel, right here, front and center. We have also got the female version of Wolverine. We've also got a Null, who, last I checked, is a part of the LGBTQIA plus community. I know not too terribly long ago he was revealed to be gay, so you have some LGBTQIA plus rep right there. And you also got even more because you also have Prodigy, who is a black LGBTQIA plus individuals. There's a lot of intersectionality in this whole lineup, and I'm happy for this. I like seeing this. This looks more indicative of a world that lives outside my door, outside of a guy being green and having lizard skin. Sophie is probably the most regular person you could find on the team. I mean, yeah, you've also got Laura, who's just a whole regular ass white woman, but I mean, she's a little bit more spicy. We're gonna call Laura is spicy white. Sophie's just regular white, so There we go. Either way, if you can't tell, I'm excited for both of these. Probably a little more for NYX just in terms of just what is promised. I think Phoenix is going to be very good. I have no concerns there with Phoenix. But I definitely think of the two, NYX is the one I'm a little bit more interested in. I would actually go as far as say X-Force and NYX are the two of the three that I am more interested in. Maybe even NYX more than all of them. You guessed it, obligatory channel outro time. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. Clicking that subscribe button and tapping that notification bell ensures that you get more videos just like this one, and you don't miss any of my other content that I drop throughout the week, plus my live streams every Thursday and Saturday. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button, keep it plus ultra, and sound off in the comments.